Hello, welcome to the Very Low Calorie Diet Network. I'm Dr. Chris. This channel is dedicated to the safe use of VLC diet for the rapid fat loss while maintaining lean body mass. Today I want you to understand VO2 Max and how to effectively use it to burn more fat. VO2 Max is the maximum total body oxygen usage during extreme exercise. VO2 Max is expressed in milliliters per kilogram per minute of oxygen used. To produce energy, the body must have oxygen and a fuel source such as sugar or fat. Your body needs oxygen all the time to produce energy to carry out normal cell function. The cells of the brain are the most susceptible to damage if deprived of oxygen. After 4 minutes of oxygen deprivation, permanent cell damage begins. Therefore, there is a minimum volume of oxygen necessary to maintain body function. With maximum exertion, while walking, cycling, or swimming, our oxygen requirement can increase tenfold. Our ability to extract oxygen from the air and deliver it to the cell is limited. It starts with the oxygen availability in the atmosphere. The next step involves in the capacity of the lungs to collect air and expose the capillaries to oxygen. The blood takes up the oxygen and the heart pumps the blood to the cells. The oxygen diffuses across cell membrane into the mitochondria. In the mitochondria, the energy is produced through the breakdown of sugar or fat and produces byproducts of water and carbon dioxide. The process is called oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation produces energy by transferring energy to ATP. ATP is the active form of cellular energy. Oxidative phosphorylation is where sugar or fat is used to produce energy called ATP, and the byproduct is CO2, carbon dioxide, and water. We have all done VO2 Max stress tests as children. Do you remember running as hard and as fast as you can to the point that you are gasping for air with your mouth open and finally you fall to the ground out of breath and out of energy? This is a maximal VO2 stress test. It doesn't give us any data, but does prove our body's ability to deliver oxygen is limited. How do we measure VO2 Max in the laboratory? We use a treadmill and subject an individual to increase workload over time to physical exhaustion. During the process, we monitor heart rate, CO2 production, and O2 extraction, along with airflow measurements. As the workload increases, oxygen is needed to produce energy. The endpoint is reached when the workload increase is no longer met with increased O2 uptake because the oxygen delivery system is overwhelmed. This is when VO2 Max is reached. VO2 Max, volume of oxygen, the maximum that we can extract, and it's measured in milliliters per kilogram per minute. Measuring VO2 Max is not easy. The graded treadmill test is technical and requires sophisticated equipment and personnel to perform. There are two mathematical formulas that have been used to estimate VO2 Max. One uses resting heart rate, the other uses resting heart rate and heart rate after a brisk 1 mile walk along with the time. Neither of these formulas are very accurate. The smartwatch maker Garmin developed an algorithm to estimate VO2 Max. Unfortunately, there is a 25% variance in the results, and therefore the data is just not that accurate to be useful. What factors affect VO2 Max? First, gender. Females will have a VO2 Max 15 to 30% less than male counterparts. 2 is genetics. Some individuals will have VO2 Max 20 to 30% higher because of genes they carry. 3 is training status. The more aerobically trained a person is, the higher their VO2 Max is. The opposite is true. The less aerobically trained a person is, the lower their VO2 Max is. The less trained person has a greater potential to improve with training. 4 is age. VO2 Max peaks between the ages of 18 and 25. Then at age 25, there is a 1% per year decrease in VO2 max. Therefore, by the age of 65, there is a 40% decrease in VO2 max. 5 is body fat. As body fat increases, VO2 max decreases. 6 is altitude. As the altitude increases, VO2 max decreases. What affects VO2 max? Gender. Females have a 15 to 30% less VO2 max than their male counterparts. Genetics. Some people have 20 to 30% higher VO2 max by the genes they carry. 3 is training status. The more aerobically trained you are, the higher your VO2 max will be. Age. After the age of 25, VO2 max decreases 1% per year. Therefore, by age 65, there's a 40% decrease in VO2 max. 5, body fat. As body fat increases, VO2 max decreases. 6 is altitude. As altitude increases, VO2 max decreases. Therefore, the main ones that we can affect is the decrease that we have with age, and by decreasing body fat, training will increase your VO2 max. What determines VO2 max? While there are numerous steps involved in the transport of oxygen from the atmosphere to the mitochondria where it is utilized, the primary limiting factor to VO2 max is maximal cardiac output, especially stroke volume. Stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped with each heartbeat. During exercise, both heart rate and stroke volume increase, therefore increasing cardiac output and delivery of oxygen. Cardiac output equals stroke volume times heart rate. How to train your body to have a higher VO2 max? First, we must recognize that genetics controls about half the equation. We cannot change our genes, and therefore some individuals will naturally have a higher VO2 max. The good news is VO2 max can be improved, especially in the untrained. We want to increase our aerobic performance within a set period of time. We do not want to go into anaerobic metabolism. This is what happens when oxygen delivery is below demand. This will result in lactic acidosis and muscle failure. The purpose of training is to increase cardiac output. The body does this by slowing the heart rate down, allowing more time for the heart to fill during diastole, which increases stroke volume. Overall, cardiac output is increased due to the increased stroke volume and increased heart rate during exercise. VO2 max and cardiopulmonary fitness are one and the same. When training, you burn more calories per minute during maximal exercise. To specifically burn fat during exercise, you need to be in a state of ketosis. Therefore, body glucose and glycogen supplies must be exhausted, and then the liver will produce ketones from fatty acids. My recommendation for daily exercise during VLC diet is 30 minutes of fast-paced walking, cycling, or swimming. For the beginner, the first step would be to be able to do this in a 30-minute period, and then increase intensity as training improves. Everyone will have to look at their personal situation when it comes to time. Everybody has the same amount of time. A daily 30-minute aerobic program is essential. Finding your 30 minutes and sticking to it, the more convenient the 30-minute aerobic program is, will make it easier for you to do on your routine. It is very convenient to have aerobic exercise equipment at home. I have a video on treadmills for additional information. The benefits of aerobic fitness are a longer lifespan and a better quality of life. Aerobic fitness reduces the risk of strokes, cardiovascular disease, adult onset diabetes, and some forms of cancer. Aerobic fitness improves mood and self-esteem. It is increasingly recognized that it might be easier to prevent age-associated damage than to reverse it Intervention to slow aging may work better if they are applied while a person is still young and free of disease and disability. As I mentioned earlier, VO2 max decreases with age by 1% per year after the age of 25. We definitely can affect this decline with regular aerobic exercise. Thank you for watching the VLC Diet Network. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button for future videos on VLC dieting. This is Dr. Chris.